Hey everybody, Jen here, Gen X Website Design and Strategy. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add a logo slider similar to this to your Squarespace website. Adding a logo slider like this is a really great way to visually convey to your website visitors your authority without them having to read pages and pages of you telling them how amazing you are and all of the great businesses that you work with. First of all, nobody's going to read all of that stuff. Second of all, a picture is really worth 1,000 words. I love these logo sliders. When you click the link below this video, you're going to be brought right over to this page and you can try this widget for free. Down here at the bottom is an interactive AI tool you can use if you have a question and you're looking for something inside of all of these options. Maybe you don't feel like searching and searching, you can just ask. Or if you get stuck, you can ask a question. But for now, I'm just going to close this. So you can give this logo slider a name. And I would suggest giving it a name that is relevant to whatever it is that you are using this slider for. So I'm just going to say affiliate partners. You're going to be replacing these logos with your own. And I had to actually play with this a little bit to figure it out. So I'm going to show you what I recommend doing. It's going to require that you leave at least one logo in here. Let's just try that. Okay, and then I'm going to select this drop down and I'm going to select the minus sign because I don't want to use WordPress. Now, before I can go any further, I have to actually save this. And this is where I got stuck because it's not that intuitive to me to do that next. But I have to do this before I can actually upload my logos. And it's going to immediately prompt me to create a project. So I'll give you an example of what a project might be. For me, I'm making some YouTube tutorials. So I have a project called YouTube Tutorials so that when I log into Common Ninja, if I'm using different widgets for different projects, I can organize them by creating separate projects. So I have one called YouTube Tutorials, and that's where I'm going to save it. If you don't have any projects at all, you'll have to create a new one and you might call it something like My Website. Or maybe you're doing this for a client and then you would create a new project and you'd name it whatever your client's name is. I'm going to go ahead and save this to my YouTube tutorials. Now it's telling me my widget has been successfully saved and I can copy the code and embed it on my website. Well, that just doesn't really make any sense. So I'm going to close that and then I'm going to click in this area right here. This is where if you've ever uploaded anything before, this is where it's going to show up. I'm actually going to upload all of the logos that I want to use in this logo slider. So I'm just going to literally select all of these and open them. Okay, great. It's only going to allow me to select one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll just show you what it looks like when I do it. So I'll start with Square Kicker and I'm going to select use media and you can see there it is. I have the option to add a caption and I have the option to add a link. And it looks like I can enter alt text as well. I will add another logo. And when I select add logo, it gives me the option again to click in here. And then I can select another logo and there it is. So I'm just going to go through and do all of them. Now I'm going to head over to this tab here where I can customize the look and feel. Now I know I say this a lot, but a lot of this stuff is just really self-explanatory. And to go over each one of these in detail would take a long time and probably bore you, to be honest. I'm going to say what I always say, play around with it until you get it how you like it, right? Obviously, font type is obvious. You choose a font. Logo width, obvious. You choose the size of the logo, okay? So I don't need to go over that stuff with you. It's not rocket science. But I will go over a couple of key features here that I think are worth paying attention to. One is to choose your layout style. So you can go with carousel like this or grid. So the reason I want to review this is because, as you probably have heard me say before, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of movement on a website. I know that for designers, designers often really like it because we're creative and we think it's really cool. But the reality is that your visitor doesn't really like it that much because it's a little bit distracting, especially if you attach links to it or if it's words that somebody has to read, okay? Because when you're trying to read something, you really don't want it to be moving. Now, I'm going to make an exception with this because this is a visual cue that, usually with logos, they're visually recognizable quickly. It really doesn't require much reading. You can look at this and you can say, oh, yeah, I know SEO space, or oh, yeah, I know, Squarespace Circle or Square Kicker or SQSP themes. The point of the logo slider is to convey something visually that doesn't require reading. So in this case, I think it's totally fine to have it scrolling, albeit slowly like this. Okay. So I'm just sharing my opinion and what I believe to be a good strategy. Okay. Certainly do whatever you want to do. All right. So, but I do also want to point out the grid. Now, if you do want to attach links to these, which you can do right here, right? You can attach a link to the logo so that when this is embedded on your website and somebody clicks on it, they will actually go to that page. So if you were doing something like that, you might want something static like this and not moving because people aren't going to want to sit there and wait for the logo to come back around so that they can click on it. And you don't want that either because then they won't actually click on it, especially if it's something that you really want people to see. So my point is that if you are attaching links to these logos that you actually want people to click on, then I would recommend not having this move. I would recommend keeping it static. Okay, so that means selecting the grid layout here. I hope that makes sense. So that is all worth pointing out. The other thing that is also worth pointing out is I'm not sure if you can see it very well on your screen, but do you see this gradient color right here? Okay, this is what it's going to do when it's on your website. So what I recommend is making this color the same color as the background on which it is going to be displayed. Okay, so I'm just going to embed it on this page using this color. So I have this color picker Chrome extension, and I'd be happy to share this link with you. I am not affiliated with them at all, but I find this super helpful. You can click anywhere on the page, and then when you come back up here like this, and you click here, it's going to automatically copy that color right to your clipboard. So now I can come over here, and for gradient color, I am going to paste the color that I just copied over. Very simple. And now you can see it a little bit better. You can see it right here and right over here. Another option I'm going to point out is that you can change the color of your logos if you want them to be grayscale. Now, everything that was color is now just black and white. Okay, now there's a lot more you can do with this. They have a custom tab here where you can get even more specific. And like I said, I'm not going to go through every single one with you because then you would just get really, really bored. And they do have that AI interactive tool. If I toggle this on, you can see it's come back. So if you ever get stuck or if you're looking for something, just ask. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the settings and just point out that you can choose this to hover, which I may go ahead and do that. Okay, that way when somebody hovers, it's going to stop. The other option, of course, is to have it speed up. And you can choose which direction you want this to go in. And you can also choose the speed, right? But as I've pointed out before, I typically like these to go kind of slow. If you want your main title to be displayed, you can toggle this on. Personally, I don't see any reason to do that because if this is going on your website, you're going to add your own text. You're not going to need to use theirs. And if you do choose to use captions, you do have to toggle this on. It's not like that automatically. That's not the default. So that can get confusing if you're over here, right? And you add a caption and it's not actually showing up over here. You have to go into the settings and you have to toggle that on. You can see it right here now. Another thing you can do is you can create this widget to embed into an email. I have not done that. That is a thing that you can do. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. You'll be able to play around with this and do all kinds of cool things with it. And again, if you get stuck, you can always ask. And if that doesn't work, you can reach out to them for customer support. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and publish it. And I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to come over to my website and I'm going to add a code block. And I'm going to edit a code block, and I'm going to paste the code here. I'm also going to stretch this. I think I would like to have this stretched all the way across. All right, I'm going to save it. And let's see what we got. Pretty cool. And you can really see the importance of making sure that you match this color right here, the gradient color, to the background wherever you're going to be displaying this. I hope you guys found that helpful. And if you did, please give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel. Maybe share this with someone who you think could use some help with this. And remember, web design is really fun, but without a strategy, your beautiful website is only going to get you so far. Head on over to my website where I share lots of tips and strategies for creating a strategic Squarespace website for yourself and your clients that supports your business's growth. Thanks for watching.